We're live. What's going on, everyone? It is Friday. This is Friday Night Live. We have an awesome show tonight because we have a really amazing special guest, Swagglehaus Comics. Before we bring in our guest, though, I want to say what's up to everyone. Give everyone a few updates on the channel and everything, of course. Let's see. We got Adam, Battle Delta. What's going on? Tom, Serge. It seems like forever because I took a week off last week. It seems like I haven't been live for like 2 months. Charlotte, what's going on? House of L, Shadow Rat, Remy, Peter, Slots, David. All right. I'm so happy to be here today, guys. It's been Dan's in the house. It's been another crazy week for me. And of course, I was running a couple minutes behind, but we made it. So we're going to have a really, really awesome discussion tonight, folks. We're going to be talking about 9.8s, and we're going to be diving into the discussion of 9.8 graded comics in a way that is really going to, we're going to dive into it. And I know we're going to have a lot of different points of views on this. So be ready for that. All right. Comic book canon tonight, folks. Comic book canon is always 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Make sure to come over there. Follow us over there after the show here tonight. We have awesome special guests. Tommy Boy and April coming on to hang out. Hopefully making the cut to be special guest co-hosts. So let's see. BBB Hardcore, what's going on? Matt Stage, NDFND. Bottom tier. For sure. Tom, what's going on, Tom, man? Hey, guys. I almost didn't make it today because I was so depressed about the Giants losing last night. And it's not as much as I was bummed out that they lost, but they lost on a bogus call, man. I don't care if they pulled it on the Dodgers. You can't end a playoff game on a bogus call like that. But we're not here to talk baseball. We're here to talk comic books. All right, folks, if you are tuning in just for the first time, please, if you aren't subscribed to the channel, hit subscribe, hang out. I do want to give you all some updates. So 8K subscriber contest. I've been talking about it for a while. I promise you all it's still happening. It is still happening no matter where we're at in subscribers in the next few coming weeks. But as many of you know, I had a lot of personal and life-altering situations come up over the last couple of months. It's really put me out of whack. Pedro, what's going on, Pedro? So keep a lookout for that. I just did a patron subscriber contest. Big shout out to Tricky Clicky for winning that one. I will be doing the Tales to Astonish 91 8.0 CGC White Pages, second appearance of Abomination real soon. It's just a matter of me getting the time to film it. I promise you all. I also am going to be doing a little mini giveaway. We got a Spawn Universe #1. This is the McFarlane variant. I think it's like cover F or something. I don't know. There's a million variant covers for this. But I will be giving this away to my channel members. So anybody that's signed up to be a member via YouTube, you can click the join button below. That's only $1.99 a month, guys. Anybody who's signed up by the time I do the drawing for this, you'll be eligible to win. I might throw in a couple other little filler books with that as well, just to show my appreciation for you guys as well. So to my Patreon members and to my YouTube channel members, I thank you all so much. And lastly here, I will be giving away this The Boys. What issue is this? Is this #1? That just shows how much I'm not even like I don't even know much about The Boys outside of watching the TV show, folks. So this was from my Comic Tom dyslexia there. My Comic Tom Mystery Mail call, and this is him and Gem Mint's exclusive that they did. So I'm not sure, the value of it, but I'm sure it's going for a little something. But I know there's a lot of fans of The Boys out there. I'm going to be throwing this in to a contest in the near future. What contest that will be, I don't know just yet. Stay tuned, folks. All right. Last thing I want to talk about before we get into the topic of discussion and bring on our special guest. is that we are running our community raffle still, and that's going to be going on for 2 more weeks, folks. So just to give a little backstory again, this all started from awesome, wonderful members of the community coming together when myself and my family were displaced from our home due to all the damages going on. And they created a GoFundMe. I said that I was not going to personally advertise the GoFundMe. I didn't want to ask for anything from this community outside all that you guys do, for me, day to day, week to week, month to month. But they turned it into a raffle. So anybody that donates to the fund, even if it's just a couple of dollars, you will get an entry into this raffle. Will be giving away 4 EGS slabs. I do believe they're all 9.8s as well. I've also been talking with the folks, X11 Bravo, Azores Tiger, Comic Ozzy, Battle Panda, and everyone involved about possibly for myself donating another giveaway to another drawing, another raffle ticket drawing, if we reach the campaign goal. So I'll get more details to you all when we come up with something. So most likely, though, there's going to be 5 prizes. All right. To enter that, the link is below. It should be the first link in the description below. Click that link. It tells you guys everything on how to enter and what to look for. And we're going to be doing the drawing live in 2 weeks right here on Friday Night Live. So that's October 29th. We most likely will be going live at 4:30. All right. We're going to be having special guests on for everyone that donated and helped make this thing possible. So again, I'm just happy that we were able to take this, and for everyone that contributed, now we're able to give back. We are going to have a drawing raffle where you guys can win some sweet slabs. I do believe it's for every X amount of dollars that you donate, you get more raffle tickets. And don't quote me. I've had the folks tell me live here. Maybe they can tell me again. Is it every $5 that's an extra raffle ticket? Let's see. Battle Delta's in the house. Let's see if I remember that correctly. If you, for every $5 donated, that's a raffle ticket. I believe so. If I'm wrong, I apologize, guys. My memory has been a bit shot lately. Ghastly Bat, what is going on? Tomic Com is going to be his name henceforth. I dig it. I was made fun of recently by a viewer because when they announced Will Poulter, I said Will Porter, and I was actually reading his name while saying Porter, but I do suffer from a form of verbal dyslexia where I will move letters around, and sometimes I even move words around. So I make a fool of myself sometimes. All right. All right, folks. Make sure to check out all those links, but I'm not going to waste any more time. We have a really spicy subject to touch on tonight, and I couldn't do it without this guy because, well, he did a video and he dove into this, and I'm like, man, I need to get him on my show, and we need to dive into this further. So I want everyone to welcome the living legend, Swagglehaus.
What's up? What's up?
Oh, man.
What's going on? Happy Friday, everybody out there, everybody in the chat. Yeah, thank you, Journo, for having me on. It is a pleasure. It is a privilege to be on your Friday night show once again. Yeah, and this is going to be fun. This is very, very exciting. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about 9.8s and the craziness in the market. But I do want to also say, like, hey, I mentioned earlier, I didn't realize that for your that great little giveaway that you guys are doing for your GoFundMe, that was going on, some prizes. So I right now feel inspired. I would like to donate something to that prize pool if I can, as my way to support you in the community and support you. So maybe we can offline about that. I don't know if you're trying to give away slabs only and stuff, but let me send something to you. Or
Uh-oh, did we lose audio?
I
Oh, there we go.
Hello?
You're back.
Yeah, I kicked out. I kicked out the mic. I was too excited. But yeah, I would.
Spot, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
man, so
I would love to.
Yeah, we did not rehearse this. This is coming
No.
out of the blue.
Yeah.
I'm truly humbled.
Let me preface. I am not Oprah here. Okay, I'm not Dan De La Torre. I'm not about to pull out, some epic book or something, but something cool. Let me send something over.
Oh, man.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure that out.
That's awesome, man. I'm humbled. Thank you. I'm again beyond words. Man, thank you so much. So, guys, if you're not familiar with Swagglehaus's channel, please go subscribe to him. I do believe I put his channel link in the description below as well. If I didn't, I'm going to kick myself. I am going to put it in the chat. And folks, if the link isn't clickable in the chat, all you need to do is copy and paste it. All right. But look, it's not very hard to find him because, Swagglehaus, it's one and only, folks. And I want to say that you are literally, I think, like just a few subscribers away from 7,000 subscribers. Is that correct?
It is right. I am, at the time that I last checked, I am 2 subscribers away.
2 subscribers. Okay.
2.
Here's the link. Here's our goal. We did this with Nerds Being Geeks on Comic Book Canon last week. He was like 3 or 4 subscribers away from 300. Which is really awesome. He's been new to the YouTube scene, and we got him over that hump. We said, if he doesn't hit 300 before the show ends, we're canceling Comic Book Canon for life.
Oh, my God.
If Swagglehaus doesn't get to 7,000 subscribers by the end of the show, Journos Comics is canceled. All right? It is canceled. And I stand by my word. Okay. I don't say things.
Guys, I won't let him actually cancel. I won't let him actually do that.
But for the sake of the drama, yes, he will shut down his YouTube.
All right. Okay, so we got this 9.8 discussion. I just want to give you the floor one more time. Any outside of everyone that's not subscribed, going and subscribing to you, following you on Instagram, is there anything else that you want to push or anything you need to let folks know about?
No, just, I guess you did a great job setting it up. I have a YouTube channel. If you guys haven't stumbled across, go say hello. Hopefully you like some of my videos, but we got to get into the topic at hand here. We're Friday Night Live with Journo. So let's dig it in, or let's dig into it.
Yes. All right. Oh, by the way, folks, one last thing. I'm wearing my Sit Down, Be Humble shirt because, as a Giants fan, even though the call was blown, they lost the game. They lost the series. So if there's any Giants fans in here, please take heed. Be humble. Take it.
Can I just say, as someone who is from the Bay Area and a Giants fan who lives in LA, that call was BS, man. That call was such garbage.
I hear you.
It's neither here nor there.
I've had a lot of Dodger fans come to me and say, look, I think as Dodger fans too, they don't, they would have rather seen Max Scherzer actually go up there and really strike him out or get that ground ball or something. And there's nothing to say. Maybe the next pitch was going to be a strikeout. Who knows?
Exactly. So, both teams were good. It just was a lame way to end it.
Yep. All right. Pro Spec, what's going on? Joseph Ball and DJ Moonchild. What is up, guys? All right. Swagglehaus, you recently did a video talking about 9.8 comics. So I just want you, this is going to be our segue into this topic, folks. I want you to give us kind of just a brief idea, synopsis of what that video was about and the point that you were trying to make there.
Yeah. Well, as I'm sure a lot of you guys watching know, or you yourself, Chris, like the current market right now, obviously the comic book market has been totally crazy this last year, but specifically if you're someone who's like really into slabs and the graded comic books and stuff like that, you will definitely have noticed that the 9.8s, like the desire to get 9.8s is just out of control. Like it's crazy. And I think it was, as I'm sure we all do, right? We all have like books that we're targeting, and I was looking at certain things and I was thinking about certain books like, New Mutants 98 and She-Hulk 1 and books like that. And I was just kind of looking at the price and just seeing what's out there. And it became very, very like painfully aware, or I became very painfully aware of like the difference of the prices for 9.8s versus 9.6s. And that just sort of like got the wheel spinning and me sort of thinking like, it feels like these prices, I'm not going to say are overinflated, but it definitely feels like the market is chasing these at a rate that seems not proportional to like what else is out there. And so I kind of had that supposition. I was like, I have a feeling that the values of these books are actually like what you can get for a 9.8 as far as like an ROI is concerned, and what you can get for a 9.6 is probably in most cases proportional outside of the grade range, right? That was my supposition. So because to me, a hot book is a hot book, right? Like if everyone wants first Venom because Venom 2 is coming out, like you're going to probably be able to make a great ROI no matter what grade you have because the book is going to be hot. So that was my initial sort of supposition. And then I kind of went in and picked out a couple of different books and I made a video on it. And, I went through the numbers and that supposition was basically proven right. Now, I will just say a little correction on that video. I did do a slight miscalculation on the ASM book. And in that very specific example, it did return a slightly higher ROI, but it's just that one book. I went on to look at other books as well to confirm.
Was that the percentage number?
Yeah, it was the percentage number. Yeah. So the percentage number was slightly higher on that one. But overall, what I get the sense of is, as far as the limited sample size is that I can find, is that, yeah, you can pretty much get the same ROI in 9.6s or 9.4s or other grades and so on and so forth. As long as the book is hot, the book is hot. You're gonna get a return. So that was sort of like what the video was. And I just felt like it was kind of important to kind of talk about because it also comes with this idea of like, there's this sentiment, I think, in the community that like anything outside of 9.8 can be worthless, or like I'm not sure, no one's necessarily espousing that specifically, but sometimes it kind of feels like that, and I don't know if you agree with that, but it seems like that's kind of the, what the community often talks about. And I think that there's, sometimes it's okay to make those arguments, or I can understand why people may only want 9.8s. But if we're talking about sort of like the investment and the ROI and that sort of thing, I think that 9.6s and 9.4s and stuff are a great opportunity for anyone who wants to do it.
I'm listening to you here, and I'm there's so much here, and we're going to kind of bullet point some of these things that you talked about. But I'm kind of grinning this whole time because I just wanted to interrupt you, and because first off, I'm very proud of you all, at least two of you, because already we have Swagglehaus has hit 7K subscribers. So
Thank you guys.
Round of applause. If I could put little like fireworks on screen or something, I would, but I can't do that. If I had some real fireworks to light off in my room, I might do that as well, but I don't know. But big congratulations. Well deserved.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you all for subscribing. You can unsub later, but just give me enough time to take a screenshot so that I can at least celebrate that.
You're taking a trip to Disneyland now for the weekend.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Awesome stuff. Let's so much there that you just brought to the table. We questioned what is the demand for these 9.8s? We're really questioning that. Why are we paying so much money for the 9.8? You brought up the fact of, if we just look at percentage, not dollar amount, but percentage, a lot of times, no matter what grade you invest in, you can have a similar ROI, return on investment, percentage wise. So it doesn't need to be a 9.8. So many different things. So the first thing I want to talk about is why. Let's look at the prices alone. Say, for example, and we're going with hypotheticals here, folks, but just from my research off the top of my head, I know that, if you take Hulk 181, for example, I know it wasn't too long ago where a 9.8 was going for around 20K. And I know for a fact it's gone up over 40K. At least as of recently, I don't know if there's been any ebb and flow or whatnot. but this probably has transpired over the last year and a half since COVID. So when you look at just dollar amount for these 9.8s, doubling. Now we're not talking about a $200 book going to $400 or $500.
Right.
We're talking about a book that's already like $20,000 doubling. How do you, when you see that, what is your initial thoughts in terms of what's justifying the sale and who's buying them?
Well, I guess, okay, who's buying them? Your guess is as good as mine in that. I think, I'm assuming that there is a real person out there, not a market manipulation thing. I assume there's a real person out there that is buying this book. Maybe they're a fan of Wolverine. Maybe they're investing in it. I don't really know. I mean, I can understand if you have millions of dollars and you're a huge comic book fan, do whatever you want to do with your money. But as far as the first thing that you said, what was the first question you asked again with regards to that setup?
What is driving? What's going on in their mind to take that much money and invest when something was, and here's just a little catalyst to bring in. So a lot of times with 9.8s, because we know sometimes, especially with older books, there's not many on the market all at once. Yeah. Right. And that's a thing that I think people confuse about. You take a book like Ultimate Fallout 4, which is a modern book, 70,000 print run. Well, there's only I still don't even think there's 3,000 9.8s on the market. I'm sure that number's gone up a little, but last time I checked, it was right under 3,000. So you got a lot of collectors. If they're all wanting 9.8s, 3,000 isn't a large number. Now you go into a book like Hulk 181, I don't know what's on the census, but you got to think of supply and demand too. Not only there might only be a couple thousand on the census, but a lot of those are being held in people's collections. So how many are on the market at the same time? So maybe for Hulk 181, there's in a 9.8, maybe there's only one or two on the market at any given time. So I just wanted to throw that in because, again, looking at the question, what is driving them? I like your answer in terms of who's buying it, because there's all these assumptions out there, but to be putting down that kind of money, but we can even go back to a book that's has been sitting at $200 in balloons and a 9.8 to $500 or $600. So similar situation, because you can look at those and say, well, maybe we can gauge who's buying them. Collectors have, standard collectors have that kind of money laying around. But what do you think is the common drive that is actually, whether you're a collector or an investor or whoever it is that's making these purchases, what is going on in their head at that time?
Well, my suspicion would be that they're speccing on this thing in terms of it. We all know Wolverine's going to come to the MCU, right? So in the case of Hulk 181, I don't know if this is answering your question exactly, but my suspicion would be that it's okay, this person is buying this 9.8 thinking to themselves, when we get Wolverine in the MCU, this thing is going to, 5X or whatever the case may be, right? That's what I think is driving it. But also, if we're talking about why specifically the 9.8 being the driving factor, the Hulk 181 might be, like you said, there might be only a handful or whatever, however many, I don't know what's on the census off the top of my head. But I think in terms of the other books, I feel like there can be two factors in it. I mean, there can be the sentiment of I only want to collect the best, right? And the best is 9.8. And if it's not the best, if you ain't first, you're last, right? That's the Ricky Bobby thing. So that could be this feeling that you need to acquire 9.8s. Otherwise, it's not worth collecting. So that could be part of the sentiment driving it, on top of the fact that they think that they're going to make a lot of money. I also equate it to I in the video, I made mention of this, and I don't know if this is actually part of the psychology of this, but I talked about I feel like Olympic athletes have talked about this, or this is something similar to this, where it's everybody wants to win a gold medal, right? Everybody wants the best. And then when you get silver, it's almost bittersweet. Right, if the 9.6 is silver in this instance, it's you didn't win gold. Yeah. And then if you got bronze, you're just happy to get a medal. It's it almost feels better to have the bronze than that silver at times. And that might be the other cases with other grades. So I don't know. I think this interesting distinction between a 9.8 and a 9.6, and like the feeling and the psychology behind that, I think is like, maybe that's a big part of why everybody feels like you have to get the 9.8, which I think is interesting because I think that you have good opinions on this. I know you've done good videos of the subjectivity of grading.
Mm-hmm. And you bring up another, exactly.
And it's like, how many books that are these 9.6s are 9.8s and how many 9.8s are actually 9.6s or whatever the case may be.
Okay. And we are going to get back to that in a moment here. Squid Game Marble, what's going on? So I was kind of trying to reel in what you actually brought up there, which is a point I want to make, where you talked about this is how people collect. I like how you brought up the more of like a emotional driver where it almost can be like an addiction. I mean, comic book collecting as a whole can absolutely be an addiction.
Totally.
So when you wanting those 9.8s, it can feel that way too. And it's like that fix, you need that fix. But to the bigger point, and this is a positive. And so we're looking at 9.8s to me today in a subjective manner. But I don't want to we're not just here to like, oh, let's talk negative about 9.8s. We're here to have an open-ended discussion. And I brought up this question and wanted you to bring that out at you because I think you really touched on the fact that it's just simple. Some people want the best of the best. It's how they want to collect. They're willing to throw down that money, and they want those 9.8s. So that's one thing I want folks to take away here today. If you don't understand 9.8s or wanting that high grade, you don't have to, because other people want to collect that way, and that's okay. All right. So let's make that clear. That's where I stand on that, even though it's not really my personal way of collecting. Although, hey, if you have a high grade book and you're sending it in to get graded, who wouldn't want it to come back a 9.8, right? Or
right. Yeah, of course.
Even higher if possible. But so let's talk about though. Now I want to dive in to really what you dove into your video, because I want collectors to understand this, because on the other end of these collectors that are like, I got money to spend, I'm 9.8 all the way, I need to go for that gold, I need my whatever the case may be. I think there's a lot of collectors out there that I don't want to say are peer pressured, but it's like they're maybe they don't understand, maybe they're in it for the investment, that long-term ROI, and maybe they just have this kind of blanket assumption that, well, 9.8, it's the best grade, it's going to give me the best value, or something like that. Yeah. And that's not necessarily the case. Yeah. And this is where I want to dive back into what you said. You actually brought up specific books to show as examples, and across the board, if not exactly even, there was a lot of similarities. No matter what grade you bought of key books, your return on investment, how that book increased in value over time, was very similar. Yeah. It's just in terms of percentage and not dollar amount. And this is very similar to my argument. I don't know, Saul, if you saw this, but I did a video in 2017 making this argument saying, what would you rather invest in? An Amazing Spider-Man #1, I don't know, like an 8.0 or something like that, or like 400 copies of Amazing Spider-Man 300 in like high grade 9.8. And I said, A is 400 copies of Amazing Spider-Man 300, hands down. People laughed at me. They mocked. They're like, I love you, but you're crazy. Like, da-da-da-da-da. So just earlier this year, which was about, I think, almost 4 years later since I did that video, I crunched the numbers again. A lot of people here in this chat know what Amazing Spider-Man 300 has been doing, especially in that 9.8, and it crushed it. Like, literally, your return on investment, dollar amount for because you would have had, first off, you would have had to come up, I think, like $90,000 or something like that, 80,000 something for a high grade. Even in 2017, it was a lot of money. And I think the increase in value was only like $20,000 or something. Only, right? We say only. Yeah. But if you paid, I think, what was fair market value for a 9.8 in 2017? I think it was like maybe, I don't know, $200. I'm just going to say $200, $200 something, maybe a little more than that. What's it going for now? Over 2,000?
Yeah.
So again, so you look at that, you're making about maybe a $2,000 profit off of each book, times that by 400. What is that? $800,000. That's not all return on investment because you got what you pay for, but so it was in the return on investment was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And look, folks, I know it's a hypothetical, and I know like who would buy 400 copies of Amazing Spider-Man at once, but the point I'm trying to make is this: a lot of us don't have the top dollar to put out for a 9.8 book to invest in anyways. So why, if you could find a nice mid-grade, spend maybe $100 or a couple $100 next to like a few $1,000s or more for that 9.8, and you're getting the same ROI in terms of percentage, it might be worth it for you, right?
Yeah.
So I just, and jump in here again and just, I'm really trying to paint this picture for collectors to show them that, it's not, you don't need the mink coat to feel fashionable, so to say.
Yeah, no, that is 100% a great point, and was ultimately, the point of the video ultimately was to kind of just, share that finding, right? Is that, I'm ultimately, for me, and again, as I even think about it, if I have a value proposition of my YouTube channel, I think for me, what I try to do is just make like sort of the relatable, like most relatable, like, look, I'm not a comic book dealer. Like I don't, buy $30,000 ASM or AF-15s, things like that. But I'm trying to like, distill down nuggets of information of just like, a person who is a passionate collector, right? And so what I'm trying to explain, or what I was trying to share with what I found in that video is to your point, is it's like, hey, you don't need, if you want to spec on something, you want to invest in something, you don't have to hit that 9.8. You can still get a great ROI on like a 9.6 of something or a 9.4 or other things. So you don't always need to buy that top level grade or whatever the case may be. And this is especially important, I think, when we're talking about like speccing or investing. And yeah, I know, I think like ASM 300, pretty poor kept secret, right? Like we all know Venom's coming. We can all very much assume that book will go up, but not all books maybe have that sort of one-to-one, like, oh, we know that the movie's coming, right? So I was also trying to say, it's like, obviously, if you're buying a certain book at a certain dollar amount, I mean, you're tying up a lot of money with the hopes that you're going to get this return. And kind of the point of the video was like, hey, you don't need to tie up all that capital into like one thing. If you're not totally sure about this as an investment, you'll still get a good percentage back if you decide to play it a little more safe, I think is kind of what the point was.
Absolutely. So. And what you just said was going to the point that I was going to make next, and that's putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
If you are, if you go to a financial institution, and you talk to a financial expert or a financial planner, or anybody that is going to help you, whether it's be with a 401k or just investing in stocks, you want to diversify your portfolio. Nobody is going to tell you, even look, Apple is a top tier stock. But anybody that owns Apple stock knows that over the last couple of weeks, Apple has hurt. And if all the money that I have invested right now was in Apple stocks, my total ROI would have been in the negative. So to, Swaggle's point, you are taking a risk even with comic books. And that's why, during this COVID age, it's funny because people are like, the comic market is going to crash or this, it's like, and unless you're talking about a real crash, the market has ebb and flow, and it's everything doesn't go up at once and everything doesn't come down at once. While so many books during even this COVID era were booming up, there were books going down. While some books now are kind of cooling off, there's others that are heating up. You're always going to get that. So when you look at, even if you have, I gave an example of investing just a couple $100s in maybe a mid-grade key instead of going for that 9.8 for thousands of dollars, right? Say you even have thousands of dollars to spend. Why take all of it and put it into that 9.8 when maybe you could go buy 5, 6, 7, nice, decent mid grades, or even like maybe some 8.0 or 8.5s, maybe even some 9.4s or 9.6s, if the price differential is so extreme for that 9.8. You're diversifying your investments, and to your point, it's less risky. It is absolutely less risky to do that, in my own opinion.
And on that last point that you were just mentioning, and this is a little bit away from sort of like the 9.8 conversation, but we're talking about like ROIs and returns on your money and stuff. So my parents worked in real estate. One of the first videos I made on my channel was talking about this piece of advice they always used to say to me. And they always used to say, you want to buy, it's best to buy the cheapest house in the expensive neighborhood versus the most expensive house in the cheap neighborhood. And I kind of applied that idea at least to Silver Age books. And I was talking about Kang the Conqueror when Jonathan Majors was announced to play Kang and all this other stuff. And in that, you can actually kind of look at the numbers and the data. And what you'll see is that the low grades, when he was announced to play the role, 2x'd. And then the high grades went up about like 0.5%, right? Or 0.5x, right? So even though you're getting a higher dollar amount on that return at the high grade, you actually doubled your money here. So bringing it back to like, you can make these smaller, less risky sort of antes up to buy certain books. And actually you can, if you're smart and you play carefully, you can actually make better returns overall. So, so this kind of goes back to like the idea of not wanting to tie all your money up in like that 9.8 grade, et cetera.
Yeah, I know. I love it. That's a great example here. And again, folks, we're on the topic of 9.8s, and are they worthy investments? Are they all that they're made out to be? We're not ending right now, but we are gonna end this discussion today on, I think, the most probably controversial talking point of this. But I hope for right now, what we're covering, I hope you guys are taking mental notes and just learning. Like I said earlier, like if you're a 9.8 collector, go ahead, do you. It's like if you're a shoe collector and you only collect Jordans because you like Jordans, it's not necessarily about the price tag, whatever the case may be. Do you?
Yeah.
Do you? But there are alternatives out there if you are interested in being able to diversify not only your collection but your investments. And like I said, comic books in all grades have potential to bring you solid returns. So
and I was just gonna bump that to say, like, and in the video, I said, like, if you want the 9.8 because you want the best, like that's totally fine. Like, if that's what you want, that's what you want. Like, I'm not here to say that, it's overvalued in that sense. If you want a 9.8 and you're willing to pay that, then it's not overvalued. It's exactly what you value it as. Yeah. But if you want to look at it as a ROI and you want to maybe invest in it and flip it later on, or you want to spec on something and stuff, the point is that you don't have to look at the 9.8 to make that return. You can find it elsewhere. But I do also think it's interesting too with the 9.8s, because like, I was looking at it at kind of a very, I talked about Oblivion Song Number 1, which is like, a more modern book. And I was talking at it from a very kind of specific window, I guess, especially when you look at certain books that are common 9.8s, like She-Hulk Number 1 and ASM 300 and things like that. But I do also think that it is interesting. I'd love to get your thoughts on this, like this idea right now too, in terms of the community overvaluing 9.8s, is like the modern books specifically. Like if a book comes out this last week and it's it goes in the pre-screen or whatever, and one's a 9.8, one's a 9.6, and the 9.6 is like literally not even the price that it costs to grade. Like, right. That is another interesting topic too. I'd love to hear what you think about that. And I think I would set it up as to say, with the subjectivity of grading, like, do we also feel like some of these 9.6s are getting overlooked, in the more modern age?
Yeah, well, we're going to get into that. I do want to say one thing. So and again, I want everyone watching to just kind of ponder this. I've always been a collector on a budget, and I've always been someone that's done my best to diversify, meaning if I can take my money and spread it out in terms of getting lower grades instead of higher grades of just a couple, I'm going to do that. I would like to know I would like to find out and question what is my ROI been on all of my mid grades next to if you take the cost that I spent, apply that to maybe just a few big keys in like 9.8s. Look at the ROI that I got on what I have and the potential ROI that I would have got on just those few big keys, and see if I came out, with a higher return. I would love. Obviously, I don't think that'll ever happen, but boy, would that be something to gauge, right?
Yeah, I think 100% I would guess that you would, if we're talking Silver Age stuff, 100%, I will bet it right now, you would make a higher ROI on mid grades than you would on high grades.
Yeah,
for sure.
For sure. So we're okay. So we're getting there, guys. We're getting into this. Woo, the juicy of the juicy. But so before we get to the seed of the fruit, we're pushing through. We're chomping on that apple. One thing to discuss too, that I've been discussing a lot. I've talked about it a lot in our top 10s on Combo Book Canon. I've talked about it a lot. I think it's very important right now, especially in the conversation in 9.8s. Understanding fair market value and understanding that fair market value is a rolling average that can change minute to minute, day to day, and it's an average. All it is an estimate. And I don't know if everyone in this hobby really understands that. And I've been stressing this a lot lately too. There was Amazing Spider-Man 129. Again, we're talking about blue chip keys here. That book was in a 9. I do believe, was it a 9.8, was sitting at around 20 something thousand. I just did a video on this, and it was going up. This was like 2020, early 2021. It jumped. I think it may have hit like 28,000, somewhere around there. And then I wish I had the numbers off the top of my head. Did it jump to like 49,000? I think the high somewhere around there, like 49,000 or something like that.
I think so, for sure.
And it was one sale. So, couple things. If I was to take a fair market value, the fair market value would be skewed because that 49,000 was one sale that was really an outlier. So, because the last sale, and I think this was the last sale, but I think it happened around like May or June. And I don't think there's been a sale since, which goes to show these older books, there's not a lot of 9.8s out there all the time if we haven't had a sale in a matter of a good few months. So do I gauge this last sale? Do I just say, oh, well, we haven't had a sale in 4 months. I'm just going to take the last one and say that now the new fair market value is $49,000. Do I take the last 5 sales where we had maybe like, and again, hypothetical, 25,000, 27,000, 28,000, 26,000, 49,000? Because even when you add up all those 5 with the 49,000 in, it's going to render that average up to probably around $39,000, $40,000. Is that fair market value? So I think this is really key for collectors to understand. And I think what drives other individuals to base their buying decisions based on the last sale or maybe just one sale as a fair market value is FOMO. And I think and some people will say this. They'll say, oh, it's what's the opposite of organic? It's oh my gosh, I blank on words. When the numbers aren't they're oh gosh,
manipulated, created.
Yeah, not manipulated is the way I'm working for, but yeah, it's not organic. It's
the intrinsic value, non-intrinsic. I don't know.
Oh my God, it's
someone put it in the chat.
Yeah. What is something where it's like it's not generic, but it's oh man, it's on the tip of my tongue. Killing me. Should have took notes. I'm thinking it starts with an A. Artificial. Thank you, Mark. Mark is the man. Oh my gosh. Oh. I get brain farts like that, guys. It's crazy.
It's Friday. We need a drink here. Yeah, I need a
right.
drink.
Thank you,
don't
Mark.
drink, but
Yeah, like the price is artificially inflated. But
yeah.
Okay, so even if one person acted on impulse, said, "Screw it, I know the last one sold for 20 something thousand. I'm paying 49,000. I need it." Like, it's not artificial, right? And then if somebody comes in and merely looks at that one sale and says, "Oh shoot, the last one sold. I'm gonna pay that much as well." Now, actually, not only that, I'm gonna pay 55,000 because I want to make sure I get it right. None of this is artificial. Unless somebody's manipulating and somebody's like buying their own books on eBay or something like that. But let's not get there.
Table that.
Yeah, right. So I think this is something that collectors should be aware of. I mean, what are your thoughts on
I totally agree. I mean, I think, and this is strays away, but you made a great video the other week, I think it was, the one that was like, what is undervalued, right? Where you're talking about undervalued. And I definitely like that one. I appreciate your perspective because I think it sort of dives into this, this idea of like, the fair market value being driven by, the speculative price, which again, this is actually even bigger than comic books because you can make the argument that all stocks are driven by speculative values and things like that. And then we kind of get into this conversation of like, what is, value and
right,
et cetera, et cetera. But you're totally right in that I think it, like you said, and you preface, like the fair market value it's always a moving target. It's always changing up and down. It's never stagnant. It's always in an ebb and flow. And yeah, I don't know how one person arrives at it, if it's just the last sale or if it's the 90-day moving average or if it's the last 20 sales or if it's the speculative value, because we know that the Punisher is going to come to the MCU or whatever the case may be. But whatever that is, I mean, I think you, the collector, you, me, anyone watching, these are all elements that you have to weigh for yourself. And you have to be, you have to make your own decisions on these types of things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it just goes to the stuff that I always say, folks, just, you have to educate yourself. You have to do your due diligence. Especially, when looking for values, never use one source. Anytime I'm in the market for books, and look, I'll do my own research or I'll watch, certain YouTubers, see what they're showing off. Anytime I do that, before I make a purchase, I'll pull up my phone. That's just an example. I'll go to eBay. I'll look at books that are on the market right now. I will watch. Like, okay, so one thing I know is I know my budget and I'm going to estimate a grade range. Like if it's a Silver Age book, I probably won't get a high grade, so I need something mid-grade. Anything that's kind of in my price range. And if it's if it's too low of a grade, I'll pass because I have my standard. I was like, nope, I'm not. That's too. I'll literally watch like 20 books on eBay of the same copy and really go through them. And I take my time.
Yeah.
I'll go to Mercari. I'll do the same thing. I'll save stuff on Mercari. I'll post in Facebook comic book buy, sell trades in search of see what people have to offer. I'll go to mycomicshop.com. I'll call my local LCSs. I'll go into the LCSs. I'll see what they have. And I'm patient. Sometimes being patient, you'll miss out on stuff. But more likely than not, you're going to get what you're looking for. And then when it comes to value, always do your research. I look at cover price. Like I said, eBay sold, Mercari sold. What are my LCS? What's the price tag they have on it? You guys have to do your homework. Understand fair market value. Even look, I stand behind cover price. They're a great resource. I use them all the time, but I don't just look at them and look at their fair market values and say, that's what I'm paying because they say it, Go Collect, even Key Collector. And I think a lot of these platforms, they don't always update their prices like instantaneously. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty hard to probably do with the way some books move in the market, but be smart, everyone. Fair market value is not an exact science, and you're going to help yourself in the long run. If everyone is a smart collector, fair market value is going to represent a more competitive value if we are smart and patient. we got to stop eating out of sellers' hands and saying, okay, yeah, we'll bite, right? There's the bait, we'll bite. Because again, it's not artificial, guys. If you're biting on that bait, hook, line, and sinker, and you're paying that money, you are now perpetuating fair market value. So if we're all more patient, we sit back, we say, hey, you know what, we negotiate, right? We make offers. The one thing where we don't have any room over is auctions, right? Because that's a free for all. We know that, and it's just good luck. Book goes to the highest bidder. So
yeah. But even to that point, like even when a book is crazy, right? Like everyone's all crazy about Warlock stuff, and if you go to eBay sold, right, you'll see Marvel Premiere 1. You're like 250, 270, 285, 150. And then it's like, who got that? And it's like maybe because someone posted and they happened to get it because they were watching all the things and they were patient. And then, or maybe it was the live auction that ended at, 2 in the morning.
2 a.m. Yep.
That's the thing. If you guys are hardcore, you definitely follow those auctions that end in the middle of the night. Yep. But that is an example of like when everyone is FOMOing on a book, all you have to do is look at the eBay solds and you'll see there are people who get those, hidden gems that for under whatever the current fair market value is at that moment. Right. And it's probably because they're patient or they get lucky or they're watching. So
very, very good point. And I'm not going to give away, but I will be talking about a book on Comic Book Canon tonight to show you all how fair market value. And this is another thing I want you all to understand. Just because if a book is selling for like over $3,000, $3,200, and then the next sale is $2,800, and news articles or YouTubers come out and say, what's going on with the market? This book's giant off. It's no, because especially if it's a 9.8, because just like Swagglehaus said, there's a book that I'm going to be talking about that literally in the same day had a 9.8 that sold for, I believe, about $3,300, and another one sold for $2,700 in the same day, both on eBay. So again, it's just like it just goes to show you that $500-600 between a book that's selling between $2,700 and $3,300. It's a matter of what's available on the market and being smart about your purchases. I think the $3,300 was a buy it now, and the $2,700 one was a winning bid. So it probably went to show you that there wasn't many on the market. Maybe this person didn't want to wait to bid on one, and he was like, I need to buy it now. I need to have that one that's a buy it now. I'm going to buy it. But then a few hours later, somebody got one for $600 less because they were patient and they went with trying to, put their best bid in. So you never know, folks. But so that we're leading into to the the finale here of our topic of discussion today. We're going out with a bang because now we're going to talk about validity of the 9.8 grade. So this is something that I myself have talked about a lot. Very, very passionate about this. I've said many times before, and I just showed this video off. Do I have the book right here? I do. If you guys have not seen this video where I talk about this book, CGC gave me a 9.8 and I'm pissed. No, not because I wanted it to be a 9.9. No, because this book is not a 9.8. It is a much lower grade than a 9.8. I estimated 8.5, maybe 9.0. Okay. This book has about 7 spine ticks. I think 4 of them are color breaking. The edges are not 9.8 sharp at all. There's some blunting going on. There's 2 spine ticks that actually go into the book like this. They don't color break, but there's a crease. This is not a 9.8 book, and it's a problem. So I'm all about the fact that you could take, and then I sent in, I don't have those here, but I sent in 2 books, brand new books. One was a Spawn 311, the Bozeman tribute, and the other one was what was the other one? I forget. Anyways, they came back 9.6s. I pressed and cleaned them too. Hot off the rack, never handled by anybody else but me, pressed and sent out, and those get 9.6s. I can't see one flaw on them. That one comes back a 9.8. I'm always saying, unless 9.6s can have defects that are non-pressable. It is true, a 9.6, according to any grading guide out there, even the one that I use like a Bible, and I highly recommend this Overstreet Guide to Grading comic books, a 9.6 can have maybe like one color breaking spine tick, something like that. You can't press that out. So if you have a 9.6 that comes back and you see a color breaking spine tick, there's probably no point in, well, I don't know, because the way this got it up. But, you know, being realistic here, don't spend your money. Don't try to press and clean it and send it back in to get a 9.8. It's got a non-pressable defect. But there are many 9.6s that have pressable defects, or that I can't see any defects at all by my human eye, that I guarantee you, if you send in a few times, send it in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times the CGC, one of those times, it's going to come back a 9.8. The same with all your 9.8s. The same with all your 9.8s. I guarantee you, if you went and spent $40,000 on a Hulk 181 9.8 and cracked it open, and remember, that's like $20,000 more than a 9.6. You can spend 40 G's on that book, crack it open just for the sake of it. I mean, crap, you got money to blow. You just spent $40K on a comic book. Right. So take a couple $100s and send it back into CGC a few times. I guarantee you, one of those times, it's going to come back a 9.6. You can do the same thing with a 9.6. Spend $20K. You still got $20K in your pocket that you save from not buying a 9.8. Spend a couple $100 to send it into CGC a few times. I guarantee you, one of those times, as long as there's no non-pressable defects, it's going to come back a 9.8. And then you can go put it up on eBay or Heritage and sell it for $40K. And then you can keep doing it. You can go buy 2 9.6s and keep doing it. Then you can turn those 2 9.6s into into 9.8s. Flip that for 4 9.6s. Flip that for 8. And anyways, I'm getting carried away.
Yeah.
This is where I'm at. So Swagglehaus, I got to hear, and I have a solution. I want to hear your point, your feedback here first, though. What are your thoughts on this? Am I crazy? Am I over exaggerating?
You're not crazy. You're not over exaggerating, because this is legitimately a thing that people do, right? Like, this is legitimately a thing. There's like, I know a lot of people in our community that will absolutely buy 9.6 slabs, crack it, try to go for the 9.8 and get back 9.8s. And then they make whatever that, return is. And so it just goes to show, like you said, I mean, outside of like a very clearly defined sort of defect that is like why you can maybe understand why something is a 9.6. I mean, the difference of 9.6s and 9.8s is what kind of breakfast the grader had that day. You know what I mean? Like, that's really like what kind of mood they're in. It's like, I have this book right here that I picked up, this Hawkeye one that's a 9.6. And I've been looking at this thing every single day, trying to understand what is wrong with it. And I can't figure it out. I mean, maybe it's something that maybe it's something I'm just not seeing because of the case itself.
And you bought it graded?
I did buy it graded. So I would love to, maybe sometime in the future, I will crack it and do it just for like the content of a video, just to see and be like, okay, cool. Here's my experiment.
And we do, keep them, we do have to remember that there could be something inside the book.
Yes.
Even with the new book, I mean, maybe there could just be one small little, well, on a 9.8, you would think it'd be more than one, because I went over this. Negligible defects can be on a 9.8. So, which are things that are barely being able to see into the human eye. But, maybe there's a little ding on an inside page.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and I'm going to make it clear here. I'm not, it's so, you can't win as a content creator here on YouTube or anybody that talks about comics. You're not going to appease everyone all the time. If I say something good about CGC, I get hackled. If I say something negative about CGC, I get hackled. I support all grading companies. I want them to succeed and do their best. And this isn't just about CGC. I'm sure this happens with CBCS as well. We're not even going to talk about the one that starts with a P. That's a whole nother story. But this is a grading company issue, in my humble opinion. We all know that grading is done by humans and it's going to be subjective. That margin of error, though, should not be as wide as it is, especially when it comes to 9.6s and 9.8s, especially if we're dealing with the differences of, like we use Hulk 181 as an example, thousands of dollars.
Right.
Depending on what mood the grader is in that day, what he had for breakfast, or, if his wife said yes or no to his marriage proposal that morning. We don't know. We can't have this much room for error. It has to be more transparent. And I always use the baseball analogy where you have a strike zone, right? And there's human umpires behind the plates, and you're going to get a margin of error. But if anybody watched the Giants and Dodgers, and I'm not talking about the check swing, I think it was game 3, umpire Angel Hernandez. He was horrible for both teams. If anybody knows baseball, a strike zone is basically a rectangle like this, right? Well, MLB electronically monitors every single pitch thrown. So every pitch that's inside this little square box in front of home plate should be called strikes. Everything outside should be called balls. His strike zone was like this, was like, out here, over, way over, for both teams, right? So, okay, margin of error. Okay, there was a ball that was like thrown right here. Okay, it was called a strike. Right here, called a strike. That's the subjective nature of human error. But when you have things going like that, it's unacceptable. And I think that's what's going on with the grading companies right now. And that's why I am very, very adamant right now about speaking up against 9.8s, because I don't think there is enough accountability right now that justifies not that people should be paying. We go back to how we started this live stream. Not that people should be paying this much for a 9.8, but that you're not paying that much for a 9.8, because the grade, especially according to this book, is proving to be null. It is proving to mean nothing, because there is no transparency and consistency that needs to be there. If you go up to the plate in baseball every day and you get pitches thrown at your head called strikes, it doesn't matter what the rules say, or it doesn't matter what the strike zone says. It's rendered null, just like this little sticker here. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. And I'm gonna just throw this out here, Swagglehaus, and all my viewers. I'm gonna say it right now. I am an advocate for ridding the 0.2 grade points. So for those that don't know, it goes 0.5 to 0. So you got your 5.0, 5.5, 8.0, 8.5, 9.0. Once you get to 9.0, it's every 2 points. 9.2, right. 9.4, 9.6, 9.8, and then the 9.9 and 10.0s. I'm ready to be done with them and just do a 9.0, 9.5, and then subjectively look at a 9.9, similar to how we look at a 9.8, and then still have that 10.0 gem mint. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that is actually an interesting part of the discussion that I hadn't even considered yet. But definitely, grading companies for baseball cards and things like that have scales that are more akin to that. And I feel like that might make a lot of sense in this particular instance, for sure, because it's like, what is this window? We talk about, strike zone is like the perfect analogy for this sort of thing, because it's like every umpire or grader is going to be slightly different. There's going to be human error. And, again, it's like, it's so minuscule, the differences between some of these 0.2 grade points or whatever. And I actually think that actually might take the pressure off of some of these graders. Because like, if I try to put myself in their shoes, I don't know what it is, but let's say I got a Hulk 181 right in front of me. And I know that my choice right now of like, it's like, I know that this is a 9.6. In fact, I think it's a 9.8, but like, can I make this a 9.8? Like, it's like, I know I'm going to get someone $20,000. And like, I wonder what the politics is in that building of like, hey, Chris, you're giving out way too many 9.8s, man. Like, does your boss tell you like, hey, you can't be grading so easy. We can't have that many Hulk 181s at that level. Like, I don't know what I don't know what that dynamic is. That's a whole other thing. But I have to imagine that there is this pressure, right? Especially if it's a Silver Age book. Like I can only imagine, like you're grading an AF15 and you're like, this thing looks like a 9.8, but like, am I really going to make this the highest grade on the census right now? Like I don't think you could. I don't think you would be able to make that decision. So I feel like that's an interesting dynamic too, and maybe having a wider set, right, where it's like you said, like it's more the 0.5 thing would be a better way to do it, because you're like, okay, yeah, it's in this bucket, and then literally there's a 10 and that's it. Like, I think that might be a better way to do it for even maybe the graders themselves. It might take some of the pressure off them. But again, even that all grade stuff aside, just to even reiterate the point with everything we're saying, even taking out the element of the subjectivity of grading and everything, the point I think also too, I want to leave with like everybody watching or comic collectors and things like that is just like, just know it's like it's so close, the difference of a 9.8 and a 9.6 and a 9.4 even. It's so close that it's like, you just don't need to, if you're someone out there who it's like, you want an Ultimate Fallout 4 really badly, Miles is your favorite character, and you think that you have to have 9.8. I'm telling you, you don't, man. Like, go get the 9.4. Like, it's just as good. Like, that's kind of the sentiment I have for books like that, especially.
I love what you just brought. I don't even think I myself have really pondered those questions before in terms of being in that situation as a grader and having to make that decision. And then, like you said, are they regulated? Like police on Thursday. So go get your quota.
Yeah, get the quota.
I mean, wow, that's such an amazing question to ponder, because it really, I don't want to paint this as like devious and like, but it's almost, it's kind of scary, that there's that much, that there can be, I don't want to say there, because we're all guessing here.
Yeah, totally.
We don't know what goes on behind. It's like the wizard behind the curtains, But this shows the power that they have to, and we're not saying manipulate the market, but to, in a sense, control the market, like you were just saying, to say, yeah, we can't be the ones that are, flooding the market with all these 9.8s, or you can even look at why maybe we never talk about 9.9s or 10s and how they could be saying that for those as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I'm sure there's graders there who like every day get a book that's like, this could be a 9.9. Like every single day they get that. But like, I bet for them, it's just like if I do give it a 9.9, it becomes a discussion with my boss. I have to get other graders to do it. And it just becomes a thing, right? So it's like, for me, it'll just be easier. Let me put it at 9.8. No one's going to care. The person who gets it back is going to be high. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I bet that they're dealing with those things a lot as well. So,
man, good stuff, man. This has just been such a great conversation. We literally, we do got to wrap up here, everyone. We got a Comic Book Canada show to attend to. Again, hope to see all of you there. We could keep going on about this. I mean, all night. It's just, it's so funny because I think we really did kind of do a 360, referencing back to your video. I think we provided a lot of good tip for collectors too, how to really manage your money and how to, invest in books to still get return on investments and be a happy collector. We talked about the positive things about being a collector if you want to dive into the 9.8s. And then we talked about, the things that concern us with these grading companies and the validity of and the consistency of these grades. So again, it's going to be something that I know I personally I'm going to continue to talk about. You've really, Swagglehaus, you've definitely opened my mind even more today for me to sit with this topic. I might not sleep tonight. I might even maybe start writing my book, my memoir on this topic. So Really appreciate you, man, for
Yeah.
coming on and diving into this with me. Maybe, we could come back maybe in a few months from now, see what's going on with the grading company, see what's going on with the market, and keep talking 9.8s, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a great conversation. Thank you again for inviting me on. But yeah, I mean, that other aspect is, give it some thought, sleep on that thing, because I'll look forward to when you come out with some soapbox about that concept too, of like a grader who is tasked with giving a 9.8 to a Silver H book that is there's 0 on the census.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like that's just, I don't know.
I do play detective pretty well, so we might have to find a scorned CGC or CBCS grader that knows. I wonder if it's like CIA stuff where if you ever leave CGC or CBCS, you have to go into like witness protection.
Yeah, for sure. You can't let the cat out of the bag. There's too many secrets.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Look at this. Oh, we got webcams and hot girls and boys in the house. You made it when you got bots in the house. Now, anyways, it's all because of Swagglehaus.
Yeah. I go for the bot crowd in the comic book collecting community. That's what I go for. So I'm glad that the people who watch my channel could make it to the stream today.
Indeed. Guys, again, big congrats to Swagglehaus for hitting over 7,000 subscribers. If you have not subscribed to his channel, please take some time to do so. Amazing, insightful content always. I'm dropping his link in the chat again. And of course, if it's not clickable, just copy and paste, but he is not hard to find. Swagglehaus Comics. Thank you all for hanging out. Morbius, Mark, Prospect, Andes. There's so many people that I didn't get to say what's up to. Empire, but Remy Rush. Appreciate all of you guys for being here. Again, we are just 15 minutes away from Comic Book Canon. Awesome special guest Tommy Boy Collects and April Visions. Power Duo. We're going to be doing some awesome things on the show tonight, so I hope to see each and every one of you there. And again, if you aren't subscribed here, please take some time to do so. Click that subscribe button. TS. Phil. Swagglehaus, thank you so much again for hopping on, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. And go, everybody, watch Comic Book Canon.
Yes. All right, guys. I'll see you over there.